put these books together because I know there's definitely a weight in there now. There's literally so many papers. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Maya and I'm so glad you're here. As you can tell, I'm in a new location. At first I was filming in my room, but I don't know, I just didn't like the setup. I mean, I was in front of a window and I'm in front of a window now too, but I just didn't like how it looked. I didn't like the bunk bed and the blue, and I just feel like where I am now is more aesthetically pleasing to me, even though it's literally just my blank wall. I'm in my living room right now, but that's besides the point. So just expect more videos in here. I'm gonna try to film in here more, but it's kind of hard to get things done when I live with my whole family. So bear with me. For this video, I'm going to be showing you guys my entire TBR, and it's huge. Like, it's a lot of books. Even though I'm in a new location, there's still so much background noise. So please, I apologize in advance. Once again, there's the dogs, and then there's the planes too. The planes never go away in LA, especially where I live. When I say my entire TBR, I truly do mean that. All the books here are books that I have not read yet or plan on reading. And looking at them is really showing me that I really need to get through all of these. It's outrageous. This is literally what we're working with. It's so many. I wanted to make this video as kind of like a blank, clean slate and show you guys just all the books that I own that I have not read yet. Because I know in the future that I want to do smaller TBRs, whether that's for like the holidays or just like the month or like the season. And I wanted to show you my entire TBR before I like condense it and make smaller videos or just smaller TBRs in general. As you can also tell from the title, I'm going to be making a TBR jar. I saw a couple of other people do this like on YouTube videos and I thought it was really cute, so I wanted to try it out. I feel like this jar will come in handy and be helpful because I find myself in reading something I have no idea what I want to read. So I thought it would just be a cool idea to just pick a book from the jar and it'll like make up my mind for me. I feel like I should probably do a video on me just picking books from this and just reading them, not really caring about what mood I'm in, just read the books and have it tell me what I should read. So yeah, I think I might do that, so stay tuned for that. I also feel as though this jar will help me get through my TBR a lot faster than what I'm doing because like I said, there's so many and I'm just taking my sweet time. There's so many books that I have bought and have not read and I just keep buying more, so I genuinely just need to just get through them and hopefully this jar will help me do that. I'm realizing with how many books I have, I might split it up into 2 parts. This video will be just all the books that I own that I have not read yet, very random selection, and then part 2 would be the TBR portion of my books that I actually really do want to read and that I'm really excited to read this year and genuinely plan on reading this year. With all that being said, I don't think I'm going to put the little segment in this video, the one that I introduced from my last video where I talk about a music artist that I love. I think I'm going to put that in the next video because I know that video is going to be less books and it's going to be shorter than this one. All of these books here are just the ones I've accumulated over years. Some I've recently bought, some I'm borrowing from a friend and I plan on reading. Some of them are my sister's that she's probably been recommending me to read for so long. Some of them are gifts that I've gotten, and some of them were bought years ago, months ago, last year, and some of them were probably bought 2 weeks ago, very recently. So yeah, I've got a pretty random selection here. Something else I wanted to bring up before we officially get started and talk about the books is my name. As you can tell from the first 2 videos, I think it says Maya Stevens, and from now on I kind of don't really want to go by that. Stevens is my last name. I think the last video and this video, it says Maya Sherelle in the beginning. Sherelle is my middle name, and I just wanted to go by that because it just sounded better in my head. And like I mentioned in my introducing me video, I am an actress, and I wanted that to be the name that I also go by for when it comes to like auditioning for things. So yeah, as of right now, I'm pretty sure all of my social medias are Maya Sherelle. My TikTok, my Instagram, my YouTube should be Maya Sherelle. And I just wanted to mention that and solidify that before I continue this channel for anyone who even cares or even noticed. I doubt anyone even cared to notice. It doesn't matter. But yeah, let's finally get into the books. Just to talk about a book first, I thought I would mention the book that I am currently reading. I have not finished it yet, and that is Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. I'm mainly bringing this up because I did literally a whole video on her YA books, and it just made sense in my head to mention this book that I'm currently reading right now. So far, I do really like it. Like I said before, I'm not really a huge YA person, but I love her books, and that's why I even made a video on her books, because that's rare for me. I'm only this much in. I'm literally halfway, page 237. I'm gonna try to finish it by the end of this week, but who knows, because I'm a slow reader. I used to be so fast, but now I'm not anymore. And obviously, I'm not gonna put this in the jar because I'm currently reading it. This book, it's called F Your Comfort Zone by Margie Haber. This was a book that was recommended at the acting studio that I attend. I'm including it in this video because I've read a couple chapters of it. This is a book I usually pick up here and there, but I've technically haven't read the whole thing. I read chapters here and there when I need like help for things and I want to like learn about a specific topic that's in the book. The book's pretty much just about getting out of your comfort zone and doing things that make you uncomfortable to better your life. So far, I really like it, and I think the chapters that I have read are really helpful. I'm also not going to put this in the TBR jar because, like I said, I just pick it up and read certain chapters here and there. The next book that I'm going to be talking about, well, it's a series. This one is next up because I know for a fact after I read Nothing Like the Movies, I'm going to read this book, and it's the Hunger Games series. I'm honestly kind of embarrassed admitting this because I've never read these books and they're so old, but I've seen the movies about 100 times. My favorite movie is Catching Fire. I know the movie is like the back of my hand. They're so good, but I've never read the series. And I think it's about time I read the series. One of my best friends, she's also reading the series for the first time, and we decided that we wanted to read it together. So I'm going to read this one. She read this one already, and then we're going to catch up and start reading the second one together whenever that time comes. I don't really think I need to explain too much about Hunger Games. You know what Hunger Games is, and if you don't, I don't know what to say. I don't really want to dwell on these too much, but yes, I'm finally reading this series this year. For sure, it's locked down. I'm also not going to put these in the TBR jar just because I know I'm gonna pick these up next. It's really good. I always feel like I need a little drink when I film these videos because I'm literally just sitting down the whole time and just talking to you guys. And I feel like it's just better to have this than water. So, and it's my first caffeine of the day. So, next book I'm gonna be talking about is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I went through a phase where I wanted to read a bunch of classic books. So I just started buying a bunch of classic books. The only classic book I've ever read was Pride and Prejudice, and it was good. It took me a while to read. I will say, after reading Pride and Prejudice, I don't think classics are my favorite books. I think they are nice to read, but I don't think they're my favorite. And that opinion could be changed once I read more. It was just, I don't really know how to describe how I felt about it, but it wasn't bad. It just took me forever to read, put me in like the biggest reading slump. So at that time when I was reading classic, that's why I bought Wuthering Heights. And I have multiple people who have recommended this book, so I wanted to read it at the time. And I just haven't gotten around to doing that yet. I literally have just bookmarks in here. This is a sticker, but Death Valley on it. Something random is I like to just stick bookmarks in my books on my shelves. Never know what bookmark I'm going to find when I pick up a book. Oh, something else. This is literally a dollar bill from a concert that I went to. My favorite band, Inhaler, they have a song called Who's Your Money On, and someone like threw money into the crowd and I got one, and then I had my mom laminate it, and now I just use that as a bookmark sometimes. But I haven't seen this bookmark in forever because it's just been sitting in this book. I'll probably come back and use that bookmark when I do read this book or just when I see it again. But I thought that was funny. But this is the first book we can put in the jar. Gonna fold that. The first book to go in the jar. That's literally so satisfying. Since it's right here and we're on the topic of classics, I also have The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I have never read this book. It's a book that's recommended in classes a lot. Like I think middle school or like high school, but I was never recommended this book, surprisingly. I thrifted this book. If I ever thrifted a book, I most likely got it from Goodwill. I bought this book also during the time when I was wanting to get into classics. A good thing about this book is I've never heard much about it. If I was to read it, I'd pretty much be going in blind. It's a heroic story of friendship and belonging. I don't even know the characters in this book or who played in the movie that came out for it. So I don't really know much about this book at all. So I can't really explain anything. So I guess I'm just going to leave it at that. But I literally have so many random bookmarks in here. I have a San Diego postcard, another postcard. These are from my mentors. And then I literally have 2 random bookmarks in here. I never know what I'm going to find in my books, honestly, when I pick them up. Second book going into the jar. Since I'm on a roll here and it's right next to me, the next book I'm going to talk about is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I didn't buy this book, and I don't think I got it around the time when I was in that classic book phase. I actually got this as a white elephant gift. I was at a club dinner night with the club that I was in at USC, and we did white elephant. I didn't end up getting this, but one of the guys in my club ended up getting it, and everyone there knew I loved books and he wanted what I wanted, so I just traded with him and he gave me this, and I'm actually happy because it's another classic in my collection that I get to keep. I actually do really want to reread this because I did read it in high school, and why not reread it one day? So that's another book that I'm going to put in the jar. Third book going into the jar. I don't think I'm going to show me writing out every single book and cutting up the piece of paper and then dropping it in there. I think I'm only going to do that for the first maybe like 6 or 7 because it is very satisfying and I like it. So yeah. The next book I'm going to talk about is the If I Stay books by Gail Foreman. I got these as a gift years ago. I think I got these in high school, so it's been like almost 10 years, I think. If I'm doing my math right. I'm not good at math. I got these as a gift from my mom, and I've just never gotten around to reading it. I love this movie so much that in the movie, the main character, Mia, she has a love interest, and his name is Adam, and he has a band named Willem Stone, and the movie made like actual music for the band, and I actually listen to that music from the movie all the time. It just pops up on my playlist at least every other day, and I love their music, and they're not even a real band, but I don't care because the music is so good. But this book is about Mia, and she ends up getting into a really bad car accident with her family, and she starts to see her life from the outside. She starts to see herself in the hospital. I'm pretty sure it's like her ghost walking around and seeing herself, and then it kind of just like backtracks into her life before the accident, and it just shows her life leading up to it. Well, at least that's how the movie is. I have no idea how the books are, but I am excited to read them one day. I'm going to throw them in the jar. I think I'm just going to put If I Stay books because I can't put Where She Went in there by itself, because if I pull this out, I can't read this without reading this first. So this is what I wrote. If it'll focus, I don't know if you can see that. Next book I'm going to talk about is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. This is a book that is my sister's. This is another movie that I love. I love this movie. It is very sad. I feel like this movie and this book is really popular. So if you haven't heard of it, then that's all I'm going to say. Go into it knowing you're going to be crushed and devastated. But if you haven't read the book or heard of it or anything like that, then I recommend it. But just, I've warned you. This one is about Louisa Clark, and she becomes a caregiver for this guy named Will Traynor, who was in an accident. He's paralyzed from his neck down, I believe. I think he has some movement in his hands. She starts taking him out to do these new things that he normally didn't do, and they spike up a romance. That's kind of all I'm going to say because I don't really want to spoil it. Yeah, I love this movie, but this is literally my sister's favorite movie. Like, this is her favorite movie, which I think is a crazy favorite movie to pick, but that's what she likes. I do want to read this one day for sure too. Next book I'm going to talk about is Crank by Ellen Hopkins and Glass by her as well. I put these books together because I know they're like a sequel to one another. I believe there's 3 books. There's Crank, Glass and then Fallout. I don't have Fallout, but I need to get that. Like I said in my Roman Empire book list video, I love Ellen Hopkins. She was one of my favorite authors growing up. She's still one of my favorite authors to this day. I have read these books, but it's been years. And I know for a fact that I want to reread them again this year, so I am going to put them in the jar. This book is about Christina Georgia Snow. When she just gets into the wrong crowd, starts doing drugs, and it's just about her life as she works through that with her family. But it's really good. And I love it. I love the way Ellen Hopkins writes, and it's very, what's the right word, impactful. But I do love her writing. And I am excited to reread these again. Since I'm already talking about Ellen Hopkins, I think I'm just gonna show you guys all the books that I have of hers that I have not read yet. So it looks like I only have 2 of her books that I legit have not read like the other ones. So I have no idea what they're about. This one is called The You I've Never Known by her. I got this book as a gift years ago, like freshman year of college, and I've just never read it. I have no idea what it's about. I think it's about a girl's mom who disappeared years ago. I feel like it's kind of hard to talk about a lot of these books because I have no idea what they're about. But the ones I do know, I will give little snippets of what they're about. But we will figure it out. That's another one that I have not read, that I actually am really excited to read this book. So I am for sure going to put that in the jar. Next and last book by her is Tilt. The back says, because once you tilt the truth, it becomes a lie. Witnessing the fallout from the poor choices that their parents make, 3 teens are clinging to the last remnants of the secure and familiar world in which they've grown up. But what was once clear is now confused. Everything is tilting. So that's fun to read. I also really like the cover of this. I've also had this for years and I've just never read it. Next book is Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk. I hope I'm saying that right. I got this from Goodwill. I don't even remember why I bought it. It's literally just a compilation of scary stories that other people have written that this guy put in a book. Haunted is a novel made up of 23 horrifying, hilarious, and stomach-churning stories. They're told by people who have answered an ad for a writer's retreat and unwittingly joined a Survivor-like scenario where the host withholds heat, power, and food. Oh, I guess it's like written as horrifying stories, but it all comes together as one fictional story. Interesting. I've never heard of this author. I got it from Goodwill. Like I said, I don't even remember why I bought this, but I'm going to throw it in there because I do love a thriller, and I feel like sometimes the best books are the ones that you just have never heard of. You never know. 1, 2. I just dropped Tilt and Haunted in there. I also put The You I've Never Known in there as well. I think I'm just going to not show me dropping them in there anymore because I need to get going. I still have so many books that I need to talk about, so bear with me. Next up, why not just show this humongous, monstrous book? Look how huge this is. It's It by Stephen King. I don't remember how I got this book. I know it was given to me, but I don't think it was like a gift. I think I just got it for free somehow. That's all I remember in my head. I don't know why I grabbed this because I don't think I'm ever going to read this. I might. I think I should. At the time, I think I got it when the movies were like coming out and they were popular. Obviously, it is about a clown tormenting kids. Very famous scary movie written by, of course, the incredible Stephen King. This book is literally the size of my head. I don't know. I'm going to put it in there, but I will tell you I am terrified to pull this out of the jar. I need to prep for this one right here. I'm trying to figure out a way to categorize these books that make sense in my head. So the next book I'm going to talk about is another book that I thrifted. It's also a thriller, like a murder mystery for sure. It's called An Evil Mind by Chris Carter, a Robert Hunter thriller. I don't really know what that means. This is another book that I got from Goodwill. Don't remember why I picked it up. I think I was just grabbing books that looked really interesting. It's been on my shelf for years and I've never picked it up. A freak accident in rural Wyoming leads the sheriff's department to arrest a man for possible double homicide, but further investigations suggest a much more horrifying discovery. A serial killer who has been kidnapping, torturing, and mutilating victims all over the United States for at least 25 years. The suspect claims he is a pawn in a huge labyrinth of lies and deception. But can he be believed? Then the case is handed over to the FBI. So yeah, it's kind of like a murder mystery cop book. I've never heard of it. It could be good. Don't know what about the cover drew me to it. Like I said, a lot of the books in here are like very random purchases. I feel like I actually am kind of curious on reading that book. Maybe I'll read it soon, because looking at it now, I'm like, why did I never read that? Because it actually sounds really good. Next up is a book that I got from a friend. She let me borrow it. I had told her that I wanted like a little cute romance book, and she recommended Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. And when I told her I've never heard of it or ever read it, she was like, oh my God, you have to read it. So that's why I have this book. I'm going to give it back to her eventually. I'm going to put it in the jar for sure. She kind of said it's like in the same realm as Fault in Our Stars. And you know that is one of my favorite books. It's in my Roman Empire book list. So that's why she recommended it. And it's a little cute romance book. So I'm excited to read that one eventually. I want to show this, but this is a book that I have read, but I know that I want to reread it this year again. It's Beach Read by Emily Henry. I showed this book in a TikTok video of a book haul that I had, and I love it because it's literally like a special edition, and it's literally, look at the inside. It's so cute. On the front of the book, it says, I feel overwhelmed that you exist, and I just thought that was really cute. And I'm putting it in this video because I know that I want to reread this book. I'm just not sure when I want to reread it. And it may be this year in general, but this is one of my favorite romances and I love this book so much. I know that there is for sure another Emily Henry book that I'm going to be showing. I think it's in the video for the part 2 section because I am really excited to read that book this year. And I plan on reading that book this year. But I'm going to throw this book into the jar because like I said, I want to reread it for sure. But isn't it so cute? I have to show this one. Let's talk about some more classics that I have. I think I'm just going to group the rest of the classic books that I bought in here. First one is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Everyone knows what The Great Gatsby is. It's a very, very famous book about Gatsby and Daisy and their love story. And yeah, I'm not really going to explain too much on that. It is a very tiny short book. The next book is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Like The Great Gatsby, this is another book that I bought when I was on my classics kick and I just never got around to reading it. This one is about a guy who just goes on a journey and it involves self-discovery. This is also a really famous book that I don't really think I need to explain too much on. This is also a very short book. Just dropping some of these in there. Writing them out all at once kind of. Next book is also a classic and it's The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I would say out of all the classics that I got, this was the one that I was most excited to read and I don't know why I never read it. It's a pretty famous book. I literally found another Death Valley sticker in here. I literally have no idea what this book is about. I know I've only ever heard good things about Sylvia Plath as well. I actually am excited to read this. I feel like I should have put this in the part 2 video because I do anticipate reading this book for sure this year. Maybe I'll still put it in the jar for this video. Next book is Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan Lefanu. Once again, I hope I'm saying that right. I bought this book very recently actually. This was also in a book haul video that I did on TikTok. I saw a girl on TikTok recommending this book multiple times and I thought why not just pick up a dark vampire book. This book is about Laura who longs for a companion and then Camilla, who I'm assuming turns out to be a vampire, kind of comes into her life. That's pretty much what it says, the gist of it at least. It's really short, so I don't think it'll take that long to read. Oh my god, there's literally drawings in it. I did not know that. Wow. A friend said she looked it up and she started reading it. She said it was boring. Well, she wouldn't have told me that, but I'm still gonna read it because like I've said, I'm someone who likes to form my own opinions. This should be a really quick, short read, and I actually really do want to read this eventually. Had to take a little break because my camera got hot, but now we're gonna get back into it because I still have so many and I genuinely just need to get through this video because I have to leave soon. Next book is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book blew up so long ago. This is definitely like a late read for me because I also got this book a really long time ago as a birthday gift. I was turning 22 when I got this as a gift from my friend. I'm turning 24 now, so I got this 2 years ago. Like I said, this book blew up on TikTok a long time ago. When I got it as a gift, I planned on reading it right away, but I just never got around to it. I don't know why, and it's been sitting on my shelf for so long, and it's a pretty huge book. You would think with how big it is on my shelf, I would have picked it up by now. I do really want to read this one. I don't know if I'm jumping to read it, but maybe I'll read it when summer comes because I feel like this is definitely like a summer book. The next couple of books I'm going to talk about, I kind of put together in like a little category. I had mentioned in my Lynn Painter video that I went on like a romance ban for a while because it was messing with my head. That's why I think I loved Better Than the Movie so much, because that was the first book I read after getting out of that romance ban. The next couple of books are just not romance at all. First one up is The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. With me not wanting to read romance, I was definitely leaning towards thrillers and mysteries, or just any book in general that wasn't very romance heavy. And this was one of the first books I picked up when I was in that little phase. And I've just never gotten around to it. I don't know why. It's been on my shelf for so long. And it actually sounds really good. I just haven't picked it up. It's about these girls who are in a support group who survived these crazy scenarios like massacres or like a situation where their life was in danger. And they're all together and they all survived and they're talking about it in this group that they're in. And I think one of the girls goes missing. And that's kind of like how the story plays out. Honestly, I think the cover really stood out to me, and the girl I was talking to who was working at Barnes & Noble recommended it, and she said she loved it, so that's why I picked it up. This one I'm gonna have to cut up pretty big because it's a lot of words. The next book that was also part of that little romance ban buying phase is Tender is the Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica. I hope I'm saying that right. I was honestly just picking up books that I knew were popular, and I don't know, I think at the time I probably wanted to be disturbed in a way, because the more I hear about this book, because I have not read it yet and I bought it a while ago and I just never picked it up, I heard it's kind of traumatizing. I'm still gonna read it though, but I'm definitely treading this one a little slower because I've just heard a lot of crazy things about this book, and I don't know if I'm jumping to read it, but I'm gonna read it eventually. A big topic in the book is cannibalism, so that alone will be probably tough to read, but you know, I'll still read it. I found another $sign in this book from my favorite band. This side is Elijah, this side is Ryan. That's the names of the members in the band, and I just think that's so funny. Next one is also about cannibalism, and it's called A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers. This one is about a food critic who kind of just, I think it says she starts eating her exes. That's what I remember it being about. I've heard another book talk person or someone that I know whose videos I watch said that they thought it was kind of boring, but once again, I come up with my own opinions. I am going to read this one. I'm not jumping to pick it up. I just bought it randomly because this was also during that romance ban era, and I heard it was popular, and just the story itself sounded very interesting, so that's why I picked it up. Next one is Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. This one's also, I think it's like a thriller. It's about a woman named Amber Reynolds, wakes up in a hospital. She can't move, she can't speak, she can't open her eyes, she can hear everyone around her, but they have no idea. Amber doesn't remember what happened to her, but she has a sneaking suspicion her husband had something to do with it, or her sister, or maybe both. So that sounds really good. So she can't see or she can't open her eyes, but she can hear literally everything. I feel like it's going to be pretty cool to read from the, once again, I bought this so long ago and just have never picked it up. So of course it's going to go in the jar. Okay, I need to just kind of get through these. Next up we have The Mistake by Elle Kennedy. I read The Deal already. I was going to do like a little reading vlog of me reading the entire series for the first time, because this is also a really popular old series that I've just never gotten around to reading. I have not read the second one yet. I need to purchase The Goal and the Legacy, but I don't know, because I feel like I need to order that online because the covers are different. and I have the first 2 covers like in this way, and I don't want to buy the books that are the new covers and have these already, like, if that makes any sense. But I do want to get around to reading this. I am gonna add this to the jar only because I know I read the first one already, so I don't really have to worry about me. Now I have 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. I don't know how to feel about this book because I've heard a lot of crazy things about this author, and I don't really know if I want to read the book anymore. But I mean, it was given to me as a gift a really long time ago by my mom because I really wanted it at the time. And at the time I really did want to read it. But now I'm like, I don't know, very wishy-washy with this one. I'll add it to the jar because I feel like I have to read it eventually because my mom bought it for me. Just know if I do read it, I don't really think I'll be talking too much about it. I just know it's a romance. I've heard it's really cringy. It's a really old book. I got it so long ago. Next up, this book is called The Counselors by Jessica Goodman. I've literally never heard of this book. I got it very strangely. So I went to Barnes & Noble and then I went to the little cafe and it had said on the counter on like this little like plaque that if I spend a certain amount of money at the cafe, then, or just buy a drink in general, then I can get this book for $5. And it looked interesting. And I knew it was like a thriller. It's written by the same author that wrote They Wish They Were Us and They'll Never Catch Us. I feel like those are also pretty popular books as well. So I was like, why not? And I picked it up and I got it for $5. I've just never picked it up to read it. It's just been sitting on my shelf. I'll get around to it eventually, but it's for sure gonna go in the jar. I have The Bromance Book Club by Lissa K. Adams. I bought this book so long ago as well, and I've just never picked it up. I was book shopping with a friend, and someone else had recommended it to me at the time, and I believe I bought this book around the time where I was getting out of the romance book ban, and I saw it, and I've only heard good things about it, so I bought it. I also thought it was pretty cool because it's told from a guy's point of view instead of women's point of view, and I've never read a romance book like that unless it was like dual point of views. But I think the whole book is just guys, and I thought the storyline was pretty cool about these guys who are in a book club and they're just reading romance books. And I thought that was pretty funny and cool, so that's why I picked it up. The girl checking me out said the book was really good, so excited to read that one. Look how the jar is looking now. Oh, this is Bromance Book Club. Next one is One Day by David Nichols. Okay, I've watched the movie and I've watched the show, and can I tell you, the show wrecked me. I love that show so much. I think about this couple all the time. I think about the show all the time, and whenever I see edits on TikTok, I'm like, oh, because I was bawling my eyes out even though I knew the ending. But my sister literally just finished this book and she said she liked it. She said she liked the show a little better though. But then I feel like it's kind of like a lot of books and movies or TV shows. I feel like it's going to be probably a slow read for me for the most part. I picked this up and bought this book right after I finished the TV show because I was like, I want to read the book now. I don't know if I'm definitely running and reaching for this book, but I will definitely read it eventually. It's about Dexter and Emma and their life for 20 years. It's like a on and off again thing with them, obviously friends to lovers, but it's just them getting to become lovers over the 20 years of their life. I would say I'm excited to read it, but like I said, I'm not jumping to just grab it immediately. Next up, we have Take Me Apart by Sarah Sleeger. This is also in a TikTok video that I did for a book haul. I also bought this on my last video where I went to Barnes & Noble, had like a little solo date at Barnes. I explained in that video that this book is literally by a teacher that I had at USC, so I thought that was really cool when I saw it on the shelf, and that's mainly the reason why I bought it. I don't really have any other reason why I would pick it up, but I recognized the cover and I loved her as a teacher, so I thought, why not pick up the book and read it? I think it's like a psychological thriller, but I'm excited to read it. Like I said, when I read this book, I'm probably going to end up emailing that teacher just to let her know I read it. So that's a pretty cool full circle moment. This is a recent buy, by the way. I haven't had this book that long. Next is Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I read Icebreaker and I liked it. I feel like that book does get a lot of hate, which I don't know why, because I feel like you knew what you were going into. You knew what you were expecting to read. This little cheesy, very spicy book. It was a fun read. It wasn't my favorite book, no, but it was fun to read and I didn't hate it. I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was kind of cute in a way. But that's why I ended up buying Wildfire, because I know the third book, which I think is Henry's book, just came out not too long ago, and I really want to read Henry's book because I loved Henry in the series. I think each book is about each hockey player. I forget the name from the first. I think it's Nate and Anastasia. Don't hold me on that. But this one is about Russ and Aurora. Russ was definitely in Icebreaker. I can't remember like his exact storyline though. But this should be a little fun read. I'm gonna throw it in the jar. Hopefully I'll pull it out eventually. Next book that I have is called Cheese Come Undone by Wally Lamb. I got this as a gift from my mentor. She bought it for me so long ago, but I've just never picked it up. But when she gave it to me, I feel like I recognized the cover before. I've just never heard too much about it. I think it's like a coming of age story. Meet Dolores Price. She's 13, wise mouth but wounded, having bid her childhood goodbye. Beached in front of her bedroom TV, she spends the next few years nourishing herself with Malamars, potato chips, Pepsi, her anxious mother's supplies. When she finally enters young womanhood at 257 pounds, Dolores is no stronger and life is no kinder. But this time she's determined to rise to the occasion and give herself one more chance before really going belly up. Yeah, I think it's just like a coming of age story. I mean, it sounds good, but once again, I'm not really reaching for it so quickly. And that is honestly why the point of this jar, to just pick up books and start reading them, not because I want to, but more because it's just a chance for me to get through my TBR. Next one is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I also got this as a gift. I got this at the same time I got A Thousand Boy Kisses by my mom. I've just never read it. It's on my shelf. I know this is a really popular book. Between life and death, there's a library. Up until now, Nora sees life has been full of misery and regret. She feels she has let everyone down, including herself. But things are about to change when she finds herself in the Midnight Library. She has a chance to make things right. The books in the Midnight Library enable Nora to live as if she had done things differently. Each one contains a different life, a possible world in which she made different choices that played out in an infinite number of ways, affecting everyone she knew, as well as many people she never met. This actually sounds really good. I don't know why I just never picked it up. I couldn't tell you. I feel like this book will be definitely life-changing and give me a lot of insight on things. Next, I have My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This is a recent buy. I have not had this book that long. I can't really remember why I picked it up. The plot of it sounded very interesting. It's about a girl who like kind of had a relationship with her teacher. 2000, bright, ambitious, and yearning for adulthood, 15-year-old Vanessa Y becomes entangled in an affair with Jacob Strain, her magnetic and gulful 42-year-old English teacher. 2017, amid the rising wave of allegations against powerful men, a reckoning is coming due. Strain has been accused of sexual abuse by a former student who reaches out to Vanessa, and now Vanessa suddenly finds herself facing an impossible choice. Remain silent, firm in the belief that her teenage self willingly engaged in this relationship, or redefine herself in the events of her past. That sounded really interesting to me. I also saw a girl on TikTok talk about it, and she said she liked it. Guess I wanted like a very riveting, powerful read. I don't know why it's just not calling to me, but I know I will for sure eventually get around to reading it. I'm almost done with all the books, which is nice. Okay, next one is If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nowlin. This is also a recent buy, and I also bought it the same day that I bought Take Me Apart. This is a very popular book on TikTok. I heard good and bad. I heard it was overhyped, but you know, I'm gonna read it regardless. I also heard it was really sad too, like the ending was really sad, and I know there's another book of it in the boy's point of view instead of, I'm assuming this one's in the girl's point of view. This is a book that I'm legit going into blind. I know nothing about this book at all. I feel as though when it comes to TikTok books, I'm very picky because I feel like a lot of books get hyped up and then they don't do what everyone says they're supposed to be doing. So this is a book that I'm hoping won't completely let me down, because there have been a lot of TikTok books where I'm like, I didn't need to read that, and I wasted my time, to be honest. Next is a book called The God of the Woods. I also have this in a TikTok book haul. I bought this book because it was during the hardcover sale at Barnes & Noble, and I had gift cards, so I bought it. I also bought it because one of my favorite YouTubers had recommended it in one of her videos, because she had a sponsorship of Book of the Month. And just honestly, the cover is just really calling out to me. I think this is like a new book that hasn't been out that long, and it's a thriller, and the storyline of it sounded really good. I really like how this book has like the little pink drip in contrast to like the rest of the green on the cover. I feel like I maybe should have put this in the excited to read section part 2, but I feel like those books are definitely like in a own realm of itself, so I'll keep it in this one. So I kind of don't have a lot of books left, and most of the ones that I have sectioned off are books that belong to my sister. But the last book that belongs to me is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I hope I'm saying that right once again. I feel there's a lot of discourse and just chat about this book. It's really popular on TikTok. It blew up. Honestly, I plan on reading it this year, maybe, but it's not in the part 2 because I feel like I'm not jumping to read it. And honestly, that's mainly out of fear, because I'm kind of scared to just read it and jump into it. This is not a happy book at all, from what I've heard. I got this book as a gift from some friends, and I think we're supposed to read it together, but I'll have to reach out and ask them if they still want to read it together. I also feel like this book is a good book to read with other people, maybe, because it is very heavy. So we'll see when I get around to this. A very daunting big book to just jump into. I'm gonna give myself some time until I really want to read this. But if I pull it out of the jar and I get it, I want to push myself, maybe I'll just end up reading it. Hopefully. Almost done. Woo, woo, woo. So like I said, the rest of the books that I'm going to show are all my sister's books. She's always recommending books to me, but I've just never gotten around to reading them. They're not my books, but I really do still want to read them, so I am still considering them part of my like TBR as a whole, and I'm going to add them to the jar. First up, we have the Twisted Love books. My sister said that she really liked these books. She only has the first, second, and the fourth one. Yeah, because she said she didn't want to read the third book because she said she didn't care about those characters, so I guess I'll take her word for it. Maybe I'll change my mind when I actually do read the books. And I found out I do want to read the third book, Couple. I haven't heard too much about these books. I don't really know at all what they're about. I know it's a romance, of course. I'm pretty much going into this one definitely blind. But I've heard my sister say she likes them, and she kind of knows what I like, especially when it comes to romances. So I'm excited to read these. I think I'm just going to put Twisted Love books as the thing because it is a sequel. And if I pull it up, then I'll start from the very first book. The next book is kind of also a series. So it's the Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I hope I'm saying that right. My sister really liked this book, and that's why she got the second one too. She also told me that there's not really any romance in this book, like at all, which I'm okay with because I don't always have to read romance. I heard on TikTok that it's kind of political in a sense, definitely women empowering, and she's also the author of Babel, which I've heard a lot of other good things about too. My sister's read the first one, but she hasn't read the second one yet. I'm excited to read these. I'm going to throw them in the jar. Once again, I'm just going to write the Poppy War books instead of putting the second one in there separately. Next is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Yeah. I am excited to read this one because my sister did rave about this one. She said it was really good. Said that she thought I would like it. It is like a thriller. This is also another book that blew up on TikTok and was very popular, but I've just never gotten around to reading it. My sister also said that it was a pretty easy read. And from what I'm looking, the chapters look really short, which I feel like is pretty good when it comes to thrillers because then you can just like keep going. I'm also going into this one kind of blind, even though it's pretty popular. I don't really know what it's about. Alicia Burnson's life is seemingly perfect until one night when her husband Gabriel returns home late from work and Alicia shoots him 5 times in the face and then never speaks another word. Alicia's refusal to talk or give any kind of explanation turns a domestic tragedy into a mystery that captures the public imagination. And She, the Silent Patient, is hidden away from the tabloids at the Grove, a secure psychiatric unit in North London. Criminal psychotherapist Theo Faber is captivated by Alicia's story and jumps at the opportunity to work with her. I guess he uncovers the reason why she's not speaking. I thought the ending does catch you quite off guard. Hopefully I do get to read this book soon. Next is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I read The Six of Crows, which is the first book of this one. This is the second book, and I loved Six of Crows so much. So I actually really am excited to read this book because the ending of the first book of Six of Crows was actually kind of crazy. I do want to read this one because I do want to know what happens to everyone after the ending of the first book. What I really loved about the first one, that it was like found family and they were doing like a heist. And I just loved the dynamic of the group and the things that happened in the book. And I thought it was a really fun, quick read. So I'm actually really excited to read this one. I don't know when I'll get around to it because this book is kind of big. The next book of my sister's that I really want to read is A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos. It says book 1, so I'm assuming there's other books attached to it. Oh wait, yeah, my sister did say there was other books. My sister said that she bought this because she really liked the cover. The cover is really cool. It's like very intricate. I think that's literally one of the coolest drawings I've seen on a book. She also said she heard a lot about it on TikTok, so she bought it. But then she kind of got spoiled of how the series ends. So now she's like, I don't want to read it anymore. So she literally only has the first book and she's only ever read the first book. But she said she really loved it. And she also told me what the ending was. And yeah, the ending is very sad. But I still feel like I want to read this book. I feel like I'll read this first book and then come up with my decision on whether I want to read all the rest after. I have been eyeing this book, so hopefully I will get around to reading it. I think I have like 3 more books, including this one. Next is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I want to read this book because my sister said she really liked it, and also one of my favorite YouTubers said she really liked it and she didn't think she was going to love it as much as she did, and I trust her judgment. I know it involves like magic and definitely fantasy. That should be a fun read. I've also just heard very good things about this one too. So then I have Beautiful Creatures by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. I'm assuming they wrote the book together. It's so funny because once again, this is a book that turned into a movie, and I love this movie so much. I would say if I was to do like a Roman Empire movie list, like I did with the books, but in movie version, this movie would be very top of my list. I love this movie so much. This is also a comfort movie for me. I will say, my sister said that she liked the book, but she definitely liked the movie better. And then when I looked up like reviews on it, a lot of people said they liked the book better. Only because they changed a lot in the movie. Like my sister said that the book and the movie are very, very, very different. That is kind of alarming because if I love the movie, what if the book isn't as good to me? I'm still gonna read it for sure. I don't know, what if it like ruins everything for me? But then again, I still feel like I'll love the movie regardless. But you know, I feel like it'll be a good, fun read anyway. And there's multiple books. There's 4. That's what it's looking like on the back. This book is about Lena and Ethan. Lena is a witch. They're teens, like a teen. And she lives in a town, lives with her uncle, who's also or they kind of call him or them casters. And it's just her going about life as she is going to turn 16. It's mainly about her working through her life as being a witch, because I know at least in the movie, she's coming of age and she's either going to be claimed by the light or the darkness, which kind of determines on whether her powers will be used for the good or the bad. And Ethan plays a big part in that. But this is still all me talking about the movie and what I know. The book could be honestly completely different, which I'm kind of worried about, but I'll throw it in the jar, of course. Either way, I've always wanted to read this book because, like I said, I love the movie, so hopefully that will come around soon. Last book of the entire haul, well, at least for this part 1, because believe it or not, even after this long video, I still have books that are still part of my TBR that I have not read, but that is going to be in part 2 that I'm probably going to film tomorrow. Last book of part 1 of this TBR section is Throne of the Fallen by Mary Maniscalco. I really love this purple. I think it's this book where one of my favorite YouTubers is like part of the rave. Oh yeah, it's refreshing, enchanting, and captivating from the very start. Sarah Caroli, she's literally in the book, and that's pretty freaking cool, and I love her videos. And I remember when she brought it up in her video that she was going to be in part of the raves of this book. I looked for it when my sister bought it, and she's there. Backstory with this book is that I read the Kingdom of the Wicked series, and I love that series. That's 3 books. I think it's Kingdom of the Wicked, Kingdom of the Feared, and then Kingdom of the... I forget what the heck they're called, but there's 3 books. The entire world of this is based around the 7 princes of hell. And the 3 books that I read already are mainly about Wrath and his love interest. So then the author decided to make books about all the other brothers, which I'm really excited to get into and read because I loved hearing about the other brothers in the story. I think this one is about Envy. And I actually really liked Envy. He was a villain in the first 3 books, but his storyline was just always one that I wanted to know more about because they were always alluding to it in the first 3 books of this series. So I'm excited to read more about him. My sister said she really loved this book, and I loved the first 3 books, like I said. So I think I will like this book. I also know this one is like adult and the other ones were like YA. So I know this one is going to have more spice, which I'm ready for. Hopefully I pick it up soon, but I'm still going to put it in the jar regardless. This is the last book going into the jar for now. Thought I would show it for the last book of this video. Woo! Look how much is in there now. There's literally so many papers in there. I actually really do feel like I do want to pull from this and make a video on it. So definitely stay tuned for that. And now TBR is officially made. Obviously there's more books I have to add for the books tomorrow. I know that this video is really long, so if you're still here, I really thank you for that. Sometimes I always feel like sit down videos of just people talking can be kind of boring, but I still felt like this video was essential. Hopefully you liked it, and if you did, please like and maybe subscribe if you want to. A lot of the books in here were books that I know, and like you saw, a lot of the books in here were books that I did not know anything about. So if you have read any of these books, please give me your opinions on them, especially the ones that I know nothing about, because I think that would be pretty cool to hear from you guys. Stay tuned for more videos coming up, definitely for part 2 of this, because that one I'm definitely more excited to film because I know those are books that I plan on reading this year. But I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!